Hey everyone, I'm Sharon, and I am a small space urban gardener based in Austin, Texas, and this is the Botanical Interest Seed Diaries. I like to think of myself as someone that makes really good use of a small space, and also as a Texas master naturalist, I really wanted to convert a lot of this turf grass and Bermuda grass into native beds that would serve the pollinators and also make habitat for wildlife. I also made sure to reserve some space to tuck in some raised beds so I could grow my own food. And as a natural maximalist, I really struggle with not overpacking them with everything that I want to grow. I'm definitely attracted to things that are a little bit out of the ordinary or lend themselves really well to seed saving, but anything that adds joy or whimsy to the garden is going to be something that I will prioritize for my garden. So today I'm going to share with you my 5 top picks for unique things that you can add to your garden today. The first pick I have for you is the moonflower. This is a vine that does really well in the heat. And I actually got into this vine because I was interested in growing my own moon garden. So a moon garden is a garden that has a lot of white colored flowers, really great fragrances, and also serve our night pollinators like the sphinx moth. I've definitely seen these moths during the day, but not yet at night, so definitely looking forward to that this year. To grow this flower, I recommend nicking the seed with a nail clipper or scarifying it with some sandpaper to make sure that the water is able to penetrate the seed coat before you plant it out. And ideally, try to soak it at least 24 hours before as well. When you plant it out, you can absolutely direct sow it, or you can also plant it in seed trays. I recommend at least, if you are going with the Epic seed trays, to try the 4-cell tray because they're a little bit bigger and they account for this larger seed and give it basically plenty of room to grow. Try to plant it out in full sun if you can. If not, ideally, at least apple shade is amazing because those vines really need that sun power to bloom those flowers. When this vine starts growing buds, they actually look like little spindles. And so you'll see this unfurl at dusk over the next hour into this big, beautiful flower that stays open all night. So if you are interested, you can set up a little time lapse and actually watch this happen in real life. I get tons of compliments on my moonflower and I can't wait to grow them again this year and to see my vines actually bloom. The next pick I have for you is a really charming grass called bunny tails. And it is a really fun grass that creates these fluffy flower heads that are just so reminiscent of a bunny tail. I just feel like bunnies are so magical to see in the garden, and to have bunny tails that you grow and also plant among your other plants and kind of see them sway in the wind is such a dream. So I'm definitely looking forward to growing these. I saw these first in a flower arrangement a long time ago, and they've just been in my head since then, and I can't wait to actually dry them and also add them to arrangements. To germinate these, you definitely don't want to bury them any deeper than 1/4 inch. I actually recommend sowing them on top of the soil, pressing them in, and then topping with a little bit of vermiculite to keep that moisture in. I actually sowed mine in these 6-cell trays and they're off to a pretty good start. So I can't wait to plant these out and to see these bunny tails kind of stick out and start harvesting them for bouquets. I love to create bouquets for friends of things that I've harvested from the garden, and I could see bunny tails being a really great addition, especially dried. I think they just add that perfect amount of whimsy to the garden and are a little bit unexpected, so it's kind of fun to make that an addition to your garden this year. Next, I'm going to share with you 3 gourds that I think are really cool additions to the garden, starting with the birdhouse gourd. I got into this gourd because I am a purple martin landlord, and this large swallow migrates from South America to North America every spring. And they live almost 100% in man-made housing. So historically, with native peoples, they would hang up natural gourds for these birds to live in. That's what kind of prompted my interest in growing my own gourds. And since then, I actually have grown a couple of gourds, which you can also cure and actually save the seeds in them and extract them to grow next year. Because these seeds also have a thick seed coat, I recommend nicking, soaking, and either direct sowing it or planting in those larger seed trays, as I mentioned. They'll germinate within 7 to 14 days, and I recommend planting them out when the soil temperature is at least 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, just to make sure that that soil is warm enough for that seed to continue growing. If you want to cure these, I recommend letting them dry out on the vine as long as possible and then cutting them, placing them in a well-vented location like a carport or a covered porch, and actually letting them dry out all the way until the next spring. You might see a little bit of mold on the outside of the shell, but just let it ride out because it turns into this amazing design, and it might look scary, but don't worry about it. Once it's cured, you can actually harvest the inside of the gourd by cutting a hole and then extracting the seeds. And then you have this lovely gourd that you can put a hole in and hang up in the future. This is a longer term crop, about 95 days to maturity, so make sure that you sow those seeds as soon as possible so that you have as much growing time as possible during the year. The dream is to have a whole purple martin colony at my home using these natural gourds, and I would love to grow these to save in the future. The next pick I have for you is a classic, and it's loofah. I've grown this several years and it does not fail to delight me. You can harvest the fruit when it's young and eat it when it's small and tender, or you can actually save the fruit and actually dry it out and save it for use as sponges. These are a gourd with a thick seed coat, so you know the drill. Make sure that you nick the seed or scarify before soaking and planting them out. When you harvest and dry it all the way, you're actually able to peel off the outer skin and actually harvest the inside of it, which is a natural sponge. When you harvest loofah, it looks something like this, and what I've seen people do is actually cut these up, turn them into dishcloths, or even sew them with some cotton, or you can actually cut it in a disc shape and turn it into a sponge that you use in your kitchen. Like other cucurbits, they have male flowers that show up before the female flowers do, and you know the difference because male flowers have a single thin stem, while female flowers actually have a long fruit behind them that turns into the actual loofah once it gets pollinated. If you don't have a ton of pollinators yet, or you want to make sure that you get fruit, you can take those male flowers, take them off, peel back the petals, and actually hand pollinate those female flowers yourself. Something that I also like to do when I'm choosing varieties is to reference a local agriculture extension, and loofah is one of the recommended varieties that we can grow in Central Texas that do really well in this region. So if you are pretty new to choosing varieties, you can look up your local agriculture extension and see what varieties of crops they recommend for you to grow. The third gourd pick I have for you is also a classic, and it's the speckled swan gourd. I grew this for the first time last year and was obsessed with the color and how it looked, and I really loved how it ended up curing as well. I only got one gourd last year, and it also has a straight stem, but this year I'm looking forward to getting more with curved stems. If you want to germinate this, same thing as the others, make sure you nick and soak the seed, and what a lot of people do to increase productivity is actually to sow 2 or 3 seeds per mound and actually thin to a single vine. I am such a maximalist that I tend to just chaos sow and let them go free, but I might actually try thinning them out this year to see if I can get even bigger gourds and more of them. Make sure that all of these gourds are planted in full sun to get the most fruit and the most productivity out of these vines when you are thinking about planting them in your garden. Thanks so much for joining me today and listening to my picks. Make sure to follow the Botanical Interests YouTube channel and also find me on Instagram as Shazzy's Garden ATX. I also have a channel that I maintain where I share everything that I'm growing every season and also the seeds that I'm saving, so make sure to join that if you'd like. Thanks for watching and see you next time.